Okay, so hey guys, how you doing?
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me here on this Zoom call. So that was weird. Zoom call. I can't even talk. I need to start drinking. I don't know if anybody else is drinking, but I'm drinking.
Oh, I should got a drink.
Me too.
Go ahead. Don't mind me. I mean, yeah, there you go. This is all about, relaxing, kicking back, having conversation. This here is some good quality Costco brand vodka.
Yes. Costco
Got
vodka.
cranberry citrus water over here. We're getting lit.
Wow, you guys are really living it up. Katie, I expected you to have rosé.
You know that's gone already.
Amazing. So, so tell us, for those people who don't know who you guys are, I'm gonna have you all kind of go into a little bit of who you are and share a little bit of a background on what you do. And yeah, so let's start with Katie.
Hi, Katie. I've been freelance wardrobe styling for a while now. And I work at Finish Line in the photo studio as a stylist. So that's what I do all day, pretty much, besides being a mom.
Okay.
I'm Jared. I'm her husband. I've been a musician forever and have always been into fashion and styling, and obviously having us together, it kind of makes like a more of a dynamic duo kind of aspect. And
Yeah, absolutely. You guys have you're like the styling power couple.
It's fun.
It's so cool. Okay, Mirage.
I'm Mirage. By day, I am a hairstylist, and by night, I am a drag queen. I've always kind of been passionate about fashion, and being in the cosmetology industry have always been like super kind of in that realm. So falling into drag kind of came after me starting to do hair. Took a little sabbatical for a little bit, moved away, moved back, and then I have been back in drag for a little bit over a year now.
Okay.
And I met both of you actually through Hannah. So we were fortunate enough to do that shoot with you, Polina.
Oh, it was so much fun. I mean, you've seen the cover, obviously. Congratulations. It's one of those things with covers. It's you just never know if it's gonna work or not. I shot my share. I'm sharing the screen here. Let's see what we're talking about. Look at that.
So good.
you look so good. That's awesome.
So good.
I literally cried.
That is so fire.
You look like you want to beat me up, and I like it.
Once we get out of quarantine.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Like, I don't know how you guys felt about it, like during the shoot, if you had notions. Like, for me personally, I love the styling and I love the models and all the talent, but I felt super rusty because it's been a really long time since I'd done the shoot. So I don't know if you guys felt about it a particular way. Talk about how you prepared for it from a styling perspective. And if you guys had any communication or conversations together, talk
For
about
sure.
that.
Well, I think when we first talked about the issue, you brought up to be like drag queens and rebellion, and you asked me if I knew any drag queens. Of course, Mirage was the first one that popped into my head. The whole house will blast with me. So I reached out to her because I'd done a shoot with her before, and she's just gorgeous. So I've been really into like 90s supermodel kind of as a style aspect, like Linda Evangelista, whole Versace throwback, and add the kind of punk style that Mirage brings to the table. And then she introduced us to Primary, who was also gorgeous. So from there, we just kind of went with that. Like, and I knew Mirage had amazing accessories, and just from their drag in general. So we kind of went with like what they had, what we had in mind, and sent photos back and forth. And it's like, you know, what do you have to work with, and kind of just meshed it all together.
Sure.
Yeah, it was, I feel like it started, you came into the salon and then we started exchanging the emails, and you showed me that first image of Naomi Campbell and Kate Moss,
Yes.
and kind of guided from there with
Yeah.
that, which I'm in the same realm of kind of age range of obsession with models and everything. So it was so cool to kind of feel like I got to like emulate these people that I look up to in the industry.
You guys really channeled this, especially, gosh, I don't know, let me see, where is the, okay. So, Mirage, have you seen this?
No, I was like real nervous that you're about to pop some out because I might cry again.
I cry every day, so it's okay. I won't cry.
It's really weird to do the screen share because you lose some of the, you know, some of the picture, I guess, but we'll try. Okay, so this is our opening here in Proper Royals. We just felt like you guys did such a great job of just having so much attitude. And we like the improper because it sort of implies a little bit of that rebelliousness that you're not like, you know, falling in, you got your own thing.
Oh yeah, I know. I've talked with Primary about the shoot. I mean, we've been really talking almost every day since the shoot, just kind of about like what we really liked in parts of the shoot, what we thought our favorite photos were going to be, because everything has been kept so kind of quiet with everything, which has been nice because we've been looking forward to this surprise. But she is in the same, again, bubble as all of us with being super passionate about fashion, and she has been one we immediately clicked. We're both Pisces, with that being said. But we clicked on like growing up loving going through Vogue and every fashion magazine out there, W, like, and just kind of growing up on all of that. So not to toot our own horn, but we finished the shoot and we were driving home. It was a crazy chaotic day. She had a tire burst on the way to my place to get ready for the shoot. It was wild, but we got back and we sat in the car for a hot minute and we were like, I think we might make the cover. with no indication of like that ever being any kind of reality, but we just sat there and we were just kind of like soaking it all in, and it was just like surreal. So seeing it is like
yeah that's amazing.
Polina, can I have you actually pull up the Improper Royals photo again one more time?
Can you guys not see this?
You went back to the cover. I was just wondering if you could pull up the Royals photo really quick again.
The first photo.
Let me see here. I think I did something wrong. There we go. Can you guys see that?
Yeah. I think what's really great about this as well is the fact that, you know, with the styling, it was super kind of laid back and monochromatic without knowing truly what the house looked like, and literally everything about both of you blending into that room, especially with the painting or the picture of the other silhouette behind you. You two look like pieces of the art in that room.
Yeah.
It's super special, and I think with the natural or like the lighting as well, it just saturates into where it's almost like you can't even tell it's two people instead of just one giant piece of art, you know, metaphorically in that one room.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Like if I sit back from it, it seems like part of a bigger painting, right? Like
you can't see where they blend in or start. It's just there. It's really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, we had a really hard time narrowing down at the end of the day. So I started telling you guys, like, I really struggled. I felt like my lighting wasn't that good, that specifically the lighting. I mean, you guys were all doing great. It's always with a photo shoot, you know, all the components have to work together. if one thing is off, the whole shoot doesn't work. Like you could have great models, but if the styling is not good, you're screwed. If you are styling in the models and the photography is great, but the lighting doesn't work, you're screwed. So it's like, there's so many of those components that you're like, God, I hope it all comes together. So I was questioning myself because, again, rusty. But looking back now, when we started looking at the proofs, I was like, okay, it's like that sense of relief of like, oh, good, we've got more than like a couple of images to work with here. So,
Yeah.
It's always nerve-wracking, but I thought the vibe was great. Oh, remember when I put lipstick on the mirror and we didn't know if it would come off?
I literally just moved my microfiber cloth off of my table.
Yeah, I'm like, it should know. It should, right? No. Mirage to the rescue. Oh, I loved this though.
Both of these are just unreal.
yeah, those turned out really nice. The bathroom was hard because it was so like tight in there, but no, it
But
totally.
it doesn't look as small as it actually is. Like in the
Yeah.
photo, it looks quite big, but yeah, you guys were both right up to that glass. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Your makeup is so good. You
Okay.
girls did so good with your makeup.
So, Mirage, how long does it take you to do the makeup? Because it was pretty impressive.
I set enough time for me to space out a little bit during it. But I for this started getting ready probably like 2.5 hours ago, and it was a photo finish. So right around there. This one was actually kind of crazy because we had that whole tire blowout situation happen. So I had to go and get her and then come back. And so we were running late. So we managed to do this in like maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And we both were freaking out during the process of like putting it on. And then we finished and we were like, oh, we can probably get Starbucks on the way there, huh? So it was luck.
Yeah, the makeup's incredible.
It's so good.
So
And
good.
with the piercings as well, and just the accessories of leather, it's just so like fiercely badass,
Yeah.
but you fall in love with the beauty, but you're also into the kind of angst of it all. It works perfect.
I wish we had a picture of our accessory table because it
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
great.
deep.
We combined forces.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Superpowers
I
for
was
that
in
one.
heaven. Oh yeah.
Yes.
I still want that coat.
I want that coat so bad.
Yes.
I still want blown up the picture of Mirage on top of that table.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we gotta get that out there somehow.
I know. I gotta retouch those. It's so I didn't actually do the retouching on this. Our retoucher, Wendy Talley. I hope I'm saying her last name properly. Wendy does an amazing job with retouching, and so I need to send her more of these because there were, like I said, there were quite a few that were like, oh, they're so good.
Oh, there's so many good ones. This is great though. The chemistry between you two also is just like
It's
so good. Like how you play off each other, you're posing, like you're just so natural. Like and sometimes we forgot to like judge some of the outfits or whatever because we were just like watching.
No.
I was like, oh shit.
and that's what made the shoot so it was almost like we had the easiest jobs because we had already known mostly like what kind of personalities we were going into this with, and both of your own personal styles, but also just in the chemistry. So it was almost like, ooh, we just get to play dress up and just throw on kind of whatever we wanted, but with like a direct idea of how we wanted to actually apply it to it.
Yeah. And Polina can't take a bad picture, so we knew it would all end up working out.
Yeah. It's nice when it all comes together.
Yeah.
Raj, what was your favorite outfit? Do you remember?
It's between this one that's pulled up right now with the coat and probably the last one, the one that ended up on the cover.
Okay.
I love
that was one of my favorites too.
So Katie, I know you said that you are wearing part of an outfit that you were planning to use in the shoot that didn't arrive on time. Where were you going to? What were you going to pair it with?
Who knows? I mean, I got. I'm like organized chaos. Like before photo shoots, I think I stress him out so much because I kind of just like throw everything together. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna work. But I don't know. I was gonna put this on Mirage, so that's why after quarantine, it's yours. But I don't know. Maybe the one where she was on the floor, sprawled out, or I don't know. Everything that we got, we kind of just had in mind of just like accessorizing and just throwing a bunch of stuff on it. Plus, like the makeup and the hair, it kind of just like speaks for itself too.
Sure.
So we kind of just wanted to complement that.
So, like in your process, as you're deciding like the outfits, I know you said controlled chaos.
Yeah.
Do you have an approach? Do you try everything on yourself? No.
I tried on like 2 or 3 dresses.
Not me. I'd hate it. Like I'm too judgy, so I thought on him.
Okay.
But I don't know. I kind of start looking at inspiration pictures, and then I have like designers and kind of prints and stuff in mind. It kind of stems from one piece that I find, and then kind of just blows up from there. But it's usually just like mixed, matched chaos.
That makes sense. Yeah. What about you, Mirage? I know with performing, obviously you have your own incredible style. How do you? What's your inspiration? How do you go about putting together your outfits?
The whole idea of drag is kind of to create this illusion. And so for me, it's a combination of 2 things. It's being super passionate about fashion. I love having some kind of a look, whether it's makeup or wardrobe or the whole thing, being something that people double take at or are inspired by. And then the other part is drag is it's a performance. Even if it's just in photos like this, it is a performance. We're emulating these characters that we create. Some people that are in the drag world have aspects of their own personality in these characters, but a lot of us kind of emulate this person that's beyond ourselves. So for me, creating these looks for performing, it has to do with creating this whole kind of cinematic effect with my performance, where I want to take everyone that's in the crowd away from where they're at, like at this moment, and take them into this completely different fantasy. And that includes the hair, the wardrobe, the music choice, even down to the lighting. We're super fortunate in Indianapolis to have a fair amount of venues that work really well with Queens. They have fantastic lighting and fantastic staff that take care of us and kind of help create these worlds. So it's kind of making my own movie every time I get into drag.
That's cool. That's a really good way of describing it. I'm gonna ask you more really stupid questions about drag and such, but
I got you. Oh, look at my bald head. I love it though.
I thought that was beautiful.
I cannot with how well those pants go with the
right?
I know.
Like that is crazy.
Yeah. That ended up so cool. And the fact that she's like, I can wear the wig like forwards or backwards, and she flipped it around, and we're like, oh,
that was game.
that. I was like, I want that haircut. It's so good.
Super good. And I love the wood paneling too. I think that like I've always been a fan.
It's not fair that house exists.
I know.
Oh my God.
Live in it. Like.
So cool.
Yep. Shout out to Ken for letting us come in there and take over for the day.
Yes.
What's your favorite picture?
Oh, it's so good.
I don't know why I love it so much, but
just the lines, like your cinched waist looks so good. Those legs.
I know.
I mean, everything just looks like, I don't know. I love it.
I just miss corded phones.
Yeah.
You look 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know
amazing.
damn well, Jared, I am 10 feet tall.
True.
So you look 10.5 feet tall.
Yeah, there's definitely something about it.
It's fun. Well, and I just love that, like, I don't know, I feel like through the whole shoot, like, no one really lost any momentum at, like, any time. Like, no one in the entire shoot lost any momentum through this whole thing. Because this was, like, one of the last shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Well, and from personal experience, most of, like, the best shots for me are right at the end, right? Because, like, I'm all warmed up. Everybody's comfortable. You know, there's just, like, I figured out, like, what side to light everybody on. There's just, like, more of a playfulness. People aren't as tense and, like, nervous about the shoot. Because everybody's just kind of like, okay, like, we're having a good time. So, yeah, I got so many great shots with these particular looks. The wall, too. I don't think we included the wall one, but so many.
There's so many.
Like Britney vibes.
I love that.
Giving me Britney vibes on this. Like, I love it.
It's crazy how all worked out too in this one, like the floral picture and the rug and like,
I know.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, okay. Well, it's funny. Everything, if you're nervous about it, I feel like at the beginning, I always get like, because I haven't done this in a really long time either, you know, editorial work, and you're just like, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
It like all comes together.
It seems like anytime that I've gone into a shoot really confident, it didn't work as well as when I went into a shoot going, oh God, like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think that works best. Nerves are good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you guys like just move and like pose. Just, I mean,
if there's one thing drag queens know how to do, it's pose, luckily. So we definitely we had that going for us. But again, like, we just are, Primary and I are both so big into like fashion and stuff. I know that like part of the conversation afterwards was just talking about how a lot of the time, like when we did do these poses and stuff, that we were like, oh my God, I think this is going to work. I think this is going to look really good. It was because we had seen it somewhere when we were younger or something like that. So being able to kind of articulate all that was second nature.
That's awesome. I think that's it. I didn't, there's so many pictures that didn't get included that were really, really, really good. We just felt really strongly about like doing a spread with this and doing a spread with this, right? We could have like split it up and put,
what's that noise?
Sorry, that's my dog.
Oh.
I've been like casually throwing the ball during this and stopped.
That's hysterical. Oh my gosh. I didn't pull them up, but there's like so many other pictures. I'll see if I can like insert them after the fact to show.
It's like the can't sit with us one, the fireplace one.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
And the one with her on the table are like, well, and the one with the cat ears.
There's so
many. Yeah, that one.
I downloaded that the video that you guys posted on Pattern and was literally just like screenshotting through it because there were so many that I was like, it's the only way I can share it right now.
I know. So, Mirage, talk about how you came to be where you are, a drag queen and everything that you're doing. What was your background? Did you grow up in a family that was supportive? Was there some events in early days? Like what?
So it's interesting because I definitely feel like after being out and being in the community for so long, I feel very lucky that my family has been as accepting as they have been. I grew up in the Midwest for the most part. I was born in Arizona, but spent the majority of my life in the Midwest. Indianapolis. I've been here for probably 15 years now, and then I took a little siesta, moved to Florida. Florida is where I started drag, and I think the reason it was easier for me to start there was because I was on my own, and it was a venture that I had that was, it was me, but it was kind of an extension of me. and a great like creative outlet, because I always feel like I've been like a creative person, like even before getting into doing hair and stuff. But drag for me now, I went a while where I was not doing drag because it was something that, as odd as it sounds, can sometimes be socially taboo, even within the gay world. Dating and stuff can get kind of complicated, and I put it on hold for a little while, and just kind of laid low with it. I do it every once in a while, Halloween, of course, special events, anything like that.
Sure.
But I got back into it, and it was, this past year has probably been the most like internally informative, I guess, as to who I am as a person, figuring that out through drag. I was super excited that this issue ended up being about rebellion, because that's what I feel like I do when I do drag. It's become a lot more mainstream, which has been great, and it's been something that, again, is not quite as taboo as it was before. We've got like RuPaul's Drag Race, Dragula, all that is out in like main media now, and so it's a lot more accepting, kind of around. But at the same time, it takes a lot of guts to do what I do and do what all the queens do, and the idea that I can both kind of emulate this person that has this grand confidence and looks fierce and feels fierce. It's kind of a fake it till you make it idea. When I was going through any time in my life, especially over this past year, where I was feeling like maybe like not so confident, or just not quite as polished as I felt, drag was something I could put that energy into, and then I could become it while in drag, and then I take all this off and I still have that confidence because I know I can do it.
Sure. That's really, really interesting. I think that there is, especially as you mentioned, you know, the Midwest, as we all know, being in fashion, we're probably more hypersensitive to it than others, you know, Midwest being conservative. Oh, yeah. And, you know, as much progress as society has kind of made as it relates to gender identity, you know, there's still a lot of people that don't get it. And I think it's really important to talk about, like, what the thought process is, because people are so quick to judge.
Oh, yeah.
To say that, you know, there's something wrong with you. And it's like, but you need to understand the context and the story and where the person is coming from. And so to hear you talk about how doing drag infuses you with confidence that you're able to take into your day-to-day, even after you remove the drag, is huge, right? Like, I think that there's so much to be said for that.
Oh yeah, and it's definitely, especially when talking about gender identity, I think that's kind of the main focal point that a lot of people focus on with drag, instead of focusing on it like it's an art, which it is. It's a complete art. Not a lot of people can do it, and it's a craft you have to hone. It's by all means. I actually resurfaced some old pictures of me in my first couple times in drag, and whoo, she's rough. The whole idea behind gender identity is kind of what the focus is on drag, because really, I don't even want to say traditionally, the majority of what the generalized public sees drag as is cisgendered men dressing as women. But the truth of it is, and especially once you get into the drag community, is there are bio queens that are cis female, that are doing drag, and there are amazing artists out there that are cis female. There are trans men, trans women, drag kings, drag queens, non-binary performers. And now that we have kind of the spotlight on us with kind of like main media now, it's been exciting to be part of this movement that's kind of showing everyone that it's not just this. It can be anything. It's an art form. It's something that everyone can be included in, as long as there's kind of generalized support with each other. It takes a lot to be a supportive community, and I feel like with my drag family, with Primary and the entire rest of my drag family, and honestly the community in Indianapolis, I have stayed in drag now since I started again a year ago, because the community is so supportive and because there's such diversity within it. It's super exciting to work with those people because in a creative mindset, the more paint colors you have and the more different kinds of media that are being put out there, the more inspired I am to do what I do and kind of step my game up and try and like be up there with these people that inspire me.
I love that. I think that's awesome. When you talk about the community here, do you have a sense of how it compares to maybe communities in other cities, or is it just, can you translate, like if you pick up and go to New York or LA or say Miami, is it like everybody just welcomes you with open arms because they recognize you as, you know, part of the community? Is that
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
I don't know what I'm asking.
Yes, I will say yes. It depends on where you go to. Not necessarily specific city-wise, but it's the same thing as the rest of the world. You can go to, as a gay man, I can go to, I don't know, Provincetown, Rhode Island. Rhode Island, am I right? I'm having a
Yeah.
Carolina Miss America moment.
I got you.
And such as, no, but I could go to somewhere that, relatively speaking, most people would be accepting of drag or gay culture. And you find a few sticks in the mud. That's just the way life works. But for the most part, honestly, there is such an acceptance, again, since drag has been put out there into the non-LGBTQ world. I know here we are very fortunate that there's a fair amount of queens that actually come into Indianapolis to perform here. And everyone that I've worked with so far and everyone that I've just honestly met just kind of in the mix that has come here from like New York, LA, Portland, Florida, like literally everywhere. Everyone is so sweet when they come here. And we get so many compliments. I think it's the same thing as the Midwest. Like, there's a lot of bad things that you could say about Midwest, with us just kind of being a little bit behind on the times, but everyone comes out talking about how friendly we are. And it's the same thing in drag.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Katie, Jared, do you guys have any questions? I feel like there's, you know, sometimes people are afraid to ask questions about what it's like to be in drag or to be a queer man or a queer female. And I don't even know some of the terminology. There's so much of it. Sometimes it's scary to like talk about it because you're like, okay, I'm going to say something really stupid or like ignorant. And so I'm always fascinated to talk to people who can be, not that it's your job to educate us, but
well, it is. We're in like a cancel culture world. It's like you say one thing off the beaten path and everyone's grabbing their pitchforks and torches. So it's completely understandable to have that kind of fear with things. And that's where, again, being in drag, I personally, and this is something that I just choose to share, I personally identify as a cisgendered male. I am gay. I do not identify in any other anything outside of that. When I do drag, it's an art form for me. But there's plenty of drag performers that are trans, that are genderqueer, that are non-binary out there. And it can be hard to kind of bridge those subjects because obviously most people don't want to upset anyone, really. But I feel like we're starting to kind of turn the tide with that, where we've been out and we've been vocal enough to the point now about, especially like non-binary. Non-binary has been a subject that I hear a lot of from friends within the community. Anyone who identifies as they, them, rather than he or she. It's something that if anyone that's watching this, if anyone that's watching this kind of takes away from just kind of the whole idea of the LGBTQ community, is just kind of taking the practices of being accepting of everyone around you. That's literally all you have to do. We're pretty nice people. I'd like to think so.
And I think that's the point, is that people need to get past labels in general and just be like, you're a human being, I'm a human being. this is what it is, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
everything else is just,
The few times that I've ever had any situation where anyone has said anything, I don't even want to say like off kilter to me or anything like that, but anything that maybe like how they gendered me when I was in full drag or anything like that. I can't even remember who told me this, or maybe I saw it in a movie. But everyone is, I like to live in the mentality that everyone is doing what they think is best at the time. I doubt that anyone comes at anyone with any malice or anything in situations like that. So I try to live like that. And I think a lot of the queens try to live like that.
sure. Talk a little bit about the how, oh, did you have a question?
Oh no, I was gonna say sometimes I think it's just like ignorance on some people that, you know, like you were saying before, like since RuPaul's like Drag Race and all the other shows have become so popular, more people are getting into it because they are unaware of it. Like you said, like
Oh, yeah.
actors and performers, and it's amazing the things that, I mean, from hair and makeup to like your costumes and what goes into it. It's just like amazing.
Oh yeah.
What you can do, and we're just like, we've always just admired it like so much, but I think now more people are becoming more comfortable, I guess, like asking questions about it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also just accepting, like, as a straight cis man myself personally, you know what I mean? Like, I love drag and like have always like kind of laughed like how I would love to get into drag, you know what I mean? But it's also because I do have a past experience with performing and music and things like that. So where I approach drag and my viewing and listening is different than other people. Whereas I feel like I'm more accepting of, like you're saying, Mirage, how you want to feel cinematic. And whether that's film or music, I want to feel that escape. And I feel like watching someone in the act of drag and being a viewer, we both get to escape with each other. And I think anyone that views drag or, you know, sits down and can appreciate it, whether it's via television or going to an actual performance, it's just so much fun to see that art happening, you know, and being much more accepting in today's society.
Well, and the transformation to me is like,
oh, it's part of the fun for us as viewers.
Yeah,
you know?
That's incredible. And just how people feel. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I feel happy. It makes me want to like
dance.
Just like dance
and drop. I want to do it all.
and also appreciate that, you know, everyone's different and every queen's different, and just getting to see so many different personalities is something special that you don't really get to see in a lot of different other avenues of, I guess, live performance.
Yeah, and I dragged. I did just throw it. They were happy. Drag it, and that's where I think drag is for me. Drag's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to kind of like, I tend to be I'm such a fucking Pisces. Sorry, cussing Polina. I'm such a Pisces. I'm such an empath when it comes to just any general interaction, and being able to emulate this like again storyline or the cinematic effect to people and kind of have them be there in that moment with me. Most of the time it's fun. That's why we can't have anything nice. Most of the time it's fun stuff. Sometimes it's seductive. Sometimes it's sad. I mean, there's a lot of queens that I know that take these moments in their lives that are either traumatic or they're just things that they're going through, and we take it to the stage. I mean, I've seen queens full on cry on stage, and I don't mean like act cry. I mean, they're genuinely releasing their emotions. I've cried watching performers before. You get this opportunity to kind of be in that moment, like Jared said, where you really are, you're both in this singular feeling, and to get that as a performer on stage with however many people are out in the crowd, it's thrilling. It's super cool to be able to kind of have that like power really over people with your performance. I wish that there was I don't know, sometimes I wish before I like went on stage I got like this whole like behind the scenes situation, because like Katie said, the amount of work that goes into a lot of this stuff, I mean, you go and see a drag queen at like a club or drag brunch or anything, and you get 4 minutes usually of them. But like, I mean, this is hours and hours, sometimes days of creation when it comes to costume, hair, wardrobe. And honestly, I speak for myself in this. I make no money in drag. Drag is something that if I break even, I am like, yes. But it's an art form that we put our hearts and souls into. So it's cool to get this representation and stuff with the shoot and everything and being on the cover.
Yeah.
Oh, girl.
You know, and in hindsight, I really wish that we'd done a story about this, because I feel like, you know, we've got these beautiful images and we have this conversation, which I'm so glad that we're able to have. And there's just so much more to the story. We're going to have to revisit it for sure, just because, you know, people have
Volume 18.
You know what? I mean, assuming we can afford to put out another magazine, sure. This COVID thing has just been such a huge bummer.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But
Save me.
yeah.
I will say too, with everything that's been going on in the world, obviously, as performers, there's not anywhere open to perform right now. So it's been an interesting time in the drag performer community, burlesque, everything. It's been so inspiring. I'm glad that social media is around right now because people aren't stopping. The queens that I worked with before, the queens that I follow, the kings that I follow, the burlesque performers that I follow, the non-binary performers that I follow are still putting out content, and they're still kind of exuding this creative energy and stuff, which is really cool to be a part of, like, that scene. I myself have been watching Tiger King and eating a lot of ice cream and Oreos. But everyone else has been creative, so that's been great.
It's very cool. What's next for all three of you? What are you guys working on? What's the first thing out the gate you're gonna do when you can get out of the house and get around at least a couple of other people that like you don't live with?
I think personally for me, I've taken like a lot of this time to like work on music because I hadn't for a really long time. So hoping I can get in and like anyone that likes really synthy, dark disco will be excited for what I'm coming out with. And I'm just excited to see what everyone else is doing and just, you know, appreciate what we may not have before, you know, as much, and really just really sink it in and be humble for what we all have.
For sure. Katie, you just like
Let me out of here!
What he said.
No, I just want to be around people. I mean, I love this guy and our little one, but you know, I just want to like be around people, and talk to people, and I really want to go vintage shopping really bad. That's what I've been really like dying to do. So I may get in like the vintage slinging game again. I don't know. We'll see once we're free. What we're allowed to do.
Sure. What about you?
God, I just assume that this is the way life is, and I'm just never gonna leave. No, I've been keeping in contact with the whole drag family and everything, and we just kind of been planning ahead, just kind of biding our time, being as creative as we can, and kind of like keeping each other up through all of this. My drag family, I think we've got 10 of us right now. We've got just kind of like a group chat that we keep going on, and I mean, we plan stuff for, so we've not done this. I'm part of the House of Blasphemy. Our main event
about that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah. So I'm part of House of Blasphemy. Mary Fagdalin is kind of the house mother. And there's a lot of queens that are absolutely fantastic, talented. But we do Low Pone once a month. It's currently happening at White Rabbit Cabaret, so we're just kind of gearing up for that and trying to make sure we've got our ducks in a row for once it happens, because I mean, we want it to be a celebration when we all can kind of get back together again. Everyone in the community, outside the community, we all just want to see each other. So just kind of gearing up for that.
We need to go to that first Low Pone too. And Polina, I highly suggest that you go to Low Pone.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Good
Just
time.
think about it. It's like I'm a recluse, right? I'm downtown, so I live in Carmel. Sorry. So I'm downtown like Monday through Friday a lot, and then the weekends I just shut down. I just hang out with my family. I know. Don't.
That's good.
That's how I am.
Don't shake your head at me. But no, I will get out. But actually, talk a little bit more about Low Pone, because in case people don't know what it is and like how it started and who participates and what people can expect if they attend.
So I was not around for the start of Low Pone. I am the second to last drafted into the family. So there's one other performer that is in the family now that came after me. But Low Pone, our dates have been kind of varied. We actually used to be at the Pioneer, which unfortunately shut down. We miss them so much. Their whole staff and everything was so fantastic to us. And honestly, the venue was the best venue I've ever been able to do anything at, really hang out, perform. I was fortunate enough that I got to perform right before they shut down. But Low Pone is kind of a come as you are event. It started, I hope I'm getting this right, I'm pretty sure we're a little bit over 2 years now. Okay. And the idea behind it was a queer dance party. So it was a once a month event where anyone could come however they want. We have people just come as they are. They come from work. We have people that get dressed up in some way, shape, or form. We've got people who do some amazing costume work. We've got people that are just like genuinely really edgy that come to this event. And it's a combination of performance and just kind of like a nice night out to dance your life away. But the performance ranges everywhere from, I mean, of course, we've got drag performance. We also have had poets. We've had singer-songwriters. We've had burlesque performers come. It really is kind of like a shake of the dice from month to month what you're going to come and see. But it's super, super fun. Very accepting. We pride ourselves on, again, being a come as you are kind of group. The rest of my family, I'm looking pretty tame right now. The rest of my family can get a little spooky. But we all support each other at the end of the day. And it's just kind of a fun event where you can live your life and not worry about anything when you come there.
Sounds awesome.
Great.
What I meant to ask you, what is your performance consists of? What do you do?
I kind of dip my toes in a little bit of everything. Again, I try and kind of come up with these cinematic ideas with my performances. I've only performed at Low Pone once. There's a lot of us, so we try and rotate in and out, so you're not there until like 3 a.m. watching us do cartwheels. But my last performance, I did this kind of Marie Antoinette situation, but the whole costume was a tearaway. So the wig came off, the dress came off, the bustle thingy flew off. I had like a glove rigged with blood. I had some like acrobatics in it. So it was a little bit of everything. Amazing. I do a little bit of that. I love burlesque performance. I think it is such a beautiful art, and being someone that it's an irony that like drag gives me such confidence, because if you like actually interact with me not in this scenario, most people are super alarmed and think that there's something wrong if they've experienced that part of me, because I am very quiet, I am very timid, but like I can do these burlesque performances and just be this completely different person. And it's empowering. So a little bit of everything, but I mean, you get everything there. Last Low Pone, we had some queens from New York that were amazingly talented. Flips, splits, everything. I choked on my drink. It was amazing. exciting. But it's pretty much like that every month. I mean, you get a little bit of everything.
Awesome. That's cool. And you guys don't have the next date lined up yet, obviously.
Not right now from what I know, just given that we're still kind of in limbo with everything starting to reopen and kind of how all that process is going to go. But we do have a page, Low Pone Presents, on Instagram. I'm pretty sure that's what the handle is. Choking on my own spit. But if you go there, we post all our updates for like when stuff's going to happen, and then you can follow any of the queens as well. We always try and promo all that kind of stuff.
Very cool. I love it. I'm totally going to take a complete like sidetrack. Katie, how have you enjoyed being a mom?
Do I enjoy being a mom?
Yeah. How do you like both of you guys?
I know.
I love being a mom.
He's great.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to me to have.
Yeah.
No. Parenthood's amazing, and I feel like with both of our personalities, we were kind of thrown into it, but it just works, and we have such a cool little
chill.
person.
Chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, when we came home from the hospital, RuPaul was the first thing that he watched with
That
us.
is very true.
Aww.
Yeah, it was a new season. We had to watch it.
There you go.
It's fun. It's life-changing, but I mean, I don't know. He just motivates us, and it's just a little weird creature.
Yep.
It's fun to watch grow. So, and we definitely want to raise him to be whoever he wants to be. So I think that's just the most important thing.
Absolutely.
Kindness. I just want to be kind.
It's a good goal. I'm very excited to watch him grow up and see what kind of a little man he's going to turn into with two super creative, outgoing, awesome parents like you.
Does he have a little leather biker jacket yet?
Oh, not yet.
Trust me, I've looked extensively at all the jackets.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's coming. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate having you on here.
It's nice to see you guys.
Congrats to everybody. Fantastic job done. It was such an honor and a pleasure to work with everybody. Bummer that Primary couldn't be here. I know she's under the weather, but hopefully we will have a chance to reconnect. Ideally at Low Pone, right? The next one. I'm really excited about that and checking it out.
And I think we're probably, I was talking to her, and I think we'll probably be through the drive-through on Saturday to pick up a couple more copies of Pattern.
Yeah,
we are too.
We'll be there too.
Fantastic. Well, then I'll see you guys then.
Okay.
Yay!
Awesome. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.